So here is a photo, right? It's right by the police station, City North American. Okay. I was trying to find dates on this. They're permanently closed now. And I find it odd that I believe the date that they moved everybody out was like December 7th. I want to say that it shut down the next day, chat. It's not confirmed. I couldn't confirm that. I dug on it, but that's what in the email they said. How weird is it that this is the service that was used? So I don't believe that that's a coincidence. That is like, in my opinion, this type of hive mind find is about as good as it gets because it took what we caught live on stream and now it solidifies it. It's like, that's odd. You never see cops moving victims' belongings out, including a survivor's name on the box. Where it was located in Moscow closes down shortly after. And where is it headquartered? In the same state and city that the Marshals are headquartered in. That, to me, cannot be a coincidence.
Okay, so some things on this. That moving franchise actually dissolved this year. So 5/13 in 2025, they had an inactive filing date and it was dissolved. And further research shows that they were auctioning off all of their remaining equipment February 22nd, 2024. So they closed down actually in 2024, even though the corporation got dissolved in 2025. Now, they were still open in 2023 because here is the local Catholic school thanking them for being a sponsor. And that was November 14th, 2023. And this was a little bit of a background on City North American Moving and Storage, which was also that Quad Cities Moving and Storage. And it had been ran for several years by a franchisee named Roger Root. And then Tom Crossler and his son Keith purchased it in 2005. Now, I did find that Tom passed away of cancer a few years back. And so what it looks like is that Keith ran it for a few more years and then decided to close down because as of 2024, Keith is now a State Farm insurance agent. So the closure of this business had nothing to do with the Idaho 4 case. And just for good measure, in case your hive mind crowd doesn't believe me, here is a Google Street View from July of 2023 showing that they still had their trucks and trailers there. So they were not closed down in 2022. Now let's get to your ridiculous claim about the parent company, North American Van Lines, being the same city as the US Marshals Service. Okay, yes, their headquarters are based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They were originally formed in Cleveland, Ohio. But the US Marshals Service is headquartered in Virginia, not Fort Wayne, Indiana. There is no connection there. And also, for you and your hive minds information, when you scroll down for U.S. Marshal Service, nothing is coming up for Fort Wayne, Indiana being the headquarters. I'm not sure where you're seeing that. I don't know if you pulled that out of your rear like you usually do, or maybe AI told you that. Not sure. They probably have a branch in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because a lot of federal agencies have branches all over the U.S. But you can see nothing comes up about Fort Wayne, Indiana. And if you actually look at where their headquarters are, it is Crystal City, Arlington County, Virginia. And if I go directly to their webpage about working for the Marshal Service, it says headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. So a couple things about this. Even though they had these North American van line boxes, they were putting things into U-Hauls and trucks. So it doesn't look like North American Van Lines was really involved anyway, other than that's who they went to get boxes. And you had claimed on one of your episodes that because North American Van Lines works with the federal government to help relocate employees, that could mean that they're in witness protection, that the four are in witness protection. That's absolutely not true. They're not in witness protection. And again, that's so disrespectful for you to keep maintaining that they're not dead. Now, as far as law enforcement moving things out for people, yes, you're correct that normally the families are left to do that. But as someone that comes from the area in another smaller town, I have watched our local law enforcement move non-evidentiary items out of a house for the people because they were not going to be able to move back in. Because normally when you have some of these crimes, the people have to move back in. They have no choice, like family members or remaining roommates. And so their items don't get taken out. They're non-evidentiary items. But in a case like this, where nobody was going to be moving back in the house, all that stuff had to be returned. And it's almost cruel to tell these people that, yes, you have to move all your own stuff out of there. So what law enforcement does a lot of times in smaller towns, which is what Moscow is they will help you move your items out. They clearly did not want these families to have to go through the pain of going in the house to retrieve the non-evidence items. So they did it for them. And I am so glad they did, because it spared the families from having to see those things firsthand in person.